Hi, so we've reached the third video and the four strongest legal statuses in Israel. Here we're talking about different types of residency and also citizenship. So my name is Joshua Pex and we're going to talk about different types of residency. So now we're reaching what is called a temporary residency, an A5 visa. So this visa is granted according to various procedures of the Israeli Immigration Authority. Many times it's part of the gradual process for those who marry Israelis. First they will receive a work visa and then they will receive normally an A5 temporary residency for several years. Also those who actually get refugee status will get an A5 visa. Also various procedures for non-Jews. The applicant will get an A5 visa temporary residency. So this is already a good status in Israel because you do get an Israeli ID card, what is called a Teudat Zeut. With the ID card and the ID number, you also get Israeli Social Security, you get health insurance, you work as an Israeli, you can work in Israel, so this is also a work permit. So once you get the temporary residency, you're really integrated as part of the system, you have a ID number. So this is very good to be at, especially for those who started off, during the process. And by the time they get the A5 visa, they're very happy because now they really can be Israelis. The only thing is that it's temporary, as it's called, Arai in Hebrew, temporary visa. It's usually granted for 1 year at a time, and sometimes with change of circumstances, this visa can be cancelled and the person will be expected to leave Israel. So some people can be here as temporary residents for many years, but then something changes in the circumstances, they're no longer eligible and they're expected to leave. So this is the only problem with temporary residency. Now we're moving on to what is called the A1 visa. So this is also a temporary resident visa, but it's given for those eligible for Aliyah. Remember, Jews, children, and grandchildren of Jews may receive Israeli citizenship according to the law of return and make Aliyah. But many times, especially with young people that are eligible for Aliyah, but they don't yet want to become full Israeli citizens, maybe they don't want to join also the IDF, or they want some time to see how life in Israel is. They want to study, they want to work, but they don't want to receive yet citizenship. So in Israel, there is a special visa for those eligible for Aliyah that don't want to become citizens, and it's called the A1 visa. It's just like the A5, like the temporary residency. They can live here, they can work, they can study, but it's temporary. After several years, 3 and sometimes 5 years, they're expected to make a decision. Do they want to stay in Israel and become citizens as olim, new immigrants according to the law of return, or leave? So this is stronger. I put it in my ranking, I put it stronger than the A5 because there is the potential to become citizens whenever they want. So now we're reaching the Toshav Keva, which is called a permanent resident. So a permanent resident is just like the temporary resident. They have an ID card, they have an ID number, they can work, they can study, they can live here, but it's much better than the temporary resident because it's good for a lifetime. It's indefinitely good as long as they stay in Israel. That's why it's called a permanent resident, because it's permanent, but it may be revoked or expire in circumstances such as a person leaving Israel after 7 years. It can expire. Basically, it's for people, as long as they're here, they will stay permanent resident, but if they leave Israel, it will expire. Also, they usually have a citizenship and a passport of another country. Most temporary permanent residents in Israel are those Arabs in East Jerusalem, but there are also all kinds of other temporary residents. Also people who make Aliyah and don't want to give up their previous citizenship if their country doesn't allow dual citizenship. Sometimes will stay a permanent resident and keep their foreign passport and not actually accept an Israeli passport and citizenship. So this is the Toshav Keva. Finally, if you've reached this stage, you've heard a lot of types of visas and residencies, but now the strongest of all is the Israeli citizenship. So Israel is a nation state. You have citizens. They are the only ones that actually have an Israeli passport and travel around the world with their Israeli passport. Citizenship in Israel is for life. It can hardly ever be revoked or canceled, only under extreme circumstances of being involved in terrorist activity. Even then, it's very, very difficult to take away a person's citizenship. Most citizens were born as citizens. It's also inherited, and as long as one of your parents was Israeli, whether you're born in Israel or abroad, you're a citizen from birth of Israel. Also, there's those who get citizenship by Aliyah. Basically, there are some rights that are reserved only for citizens, such as voting for the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. So even permanent residents and all other types of visas obviously don't vote for the national elections. Only citizens can do that. Also, there are certain jobs that only an Israeli citizen can do. Usually it has to do with working for the state. But this was the Israeli citizenship. And thank you for listening to these videos. We had a series of 3 videos about different statuses in Israel according to the immigration law. My name is Joshua Pex, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.